We're talking boxing, and we'll do more tomorrow, no doubt. But now we know Wardley Clarke. Simon, I think you'd agree, Frazer Clarke's first fight with Fabio Wardley was a bit of a cracker. Now they're going to do it all again, but they're not going to do it here. They're going to do it in Saudi Arabia. It's earmarked for October the 12th in Saudi Arabia, and is on the undercard to Artur Beterbiev against Dmitry Bivol. A hugely anticipated fight, that one in itself. But now Clarke and Wardley will be on the undercard in Riyadh. Let's get more on this. I'm delighted to say that Frazer Clarke joins us live. Frazer, good afternoon to you, mate. How are you?
Afternoon, Jim. Very well, thank you.
Frazer, good to speak to you. There are two sides to this, I suppose. On one side of it, you guys have no choice in the matter. And when you're told it's Saudi, it's Saudi. And that means a big payday for you, no doubt, and Fabio Wardley. But the other side of the coin is fight fans here are going to be denied getting the chance to buy a ticket and come and see you.
Yeah, I've already had a few messages off a few disappointed fans, to be honest. Obviously, it was highly anticipated, the rematch, and people did want to see it. I get told the date, I get told the venue. Now, that it didn't matter for me whether it was in Saudi Arabia or in the UK, Manchester, London, Ipswich. I was open to all suggestions. I just wanted to get the fight back on and get back in the ring, because that's my job as a fighter.
And that's fair, isn't it, Simon?
I do. I think it's fair. I mean, obviously, in an ideal world, I think Frazer and Fabio would have loved to have been on the September 21st bill at Wembley, because that has a scale and substance. But I don't begrudge him. I think the first fight was a fabulous fight. And I think that given the nature of everybody else is getting an opportunity, everyone else is getting an opportunity to fight on these Saudi Arabian bills and getting the economics. I don't think I begrudge Frazer and Fabio this rematch. The only question I'd have is why aren't they above Chris Eubank on the billing, quite frankly, given the size and scale of the first fight.
I mean, Frazer, can you tell us more on this without going into exact detail? To what extent are you more rewarded financially fighting in Saudi as you would be fighting here?
Obviously, it doesn't take a rocket scientist. The landscape of boxing at the minute, it sort of is what it is. We have this thing about, fighting for the fans, which, listen, I'm so appreciative of all my UK fans, of all the people that spend their hard-earned money to come out and watch me. But at the same time, I've got a couple of kids, I've got a family. I have to think of this as a very short career, and I want to make the most financially and make the best decisions for myself and for them. So this is sort of, I had no choice in the matter anyway. But obviously, it's a little bit inflated, definitely, the money. And to be honest, I think that myself and Fabio deserve that inflation, because, the first fight, obviously, all we're hearing is that, it was such a great fight. I've put my life and soul into this sport since I was 11 years old. I think I deserve the inflated money, to be honest.
He's right, Simon. I mean, it was an epic, wasn't it? 12-round battle. It ended up in a draw.
Absolutely. And as Frazer knows, I picked Fabio for that fight. As Frazer knows, I think Fabio won that fight. My actual feeling in this fight is that Frazer will win this fight. I think he'll come through. I think he has gained the benefit of the first fight, and he'll come out of it better, because if Fabio had a chance to get him out, then he didn't take it. I think he may rue that. But going to the sentiment of where he's fighting, these guys are the new game. They are dictating the pace. If you listen to the substance of what this guy Turki Al-Sheikh is talking about, he is breaking up the sport of boxing. He is basically saying to the WBC, the WBA and the IBF, I will make the fights. I will decide who fights who and when they fight and how they fight. The promoters will fall in line. The authorities will fall in line. The governance will fall in line. So with that in mind, which fighter in their right mind is not going to want to fight on arguably one of the biggest fights in boxing in this recent times, with Beterbiev versus Bivol for an undisputed world title? Who's not going to want to be on that card?
Absolutely. And Frazer, you make a good point, and I think I'm with you where you're going with it. A fight in Saudi might lead to another fight in Saudi. If you're a boxer at your level, it might mean that you fight less in your career than you might have done had you continued to fight here. In other words, you've made sufficient money that you can call it a day. Would that be right?
I just think, the world has changed, and the boxing world has especially changed. There's a lot more than the British title on the line now. There is the opportunity to fight again in Saudi, and we've got this division. in the heavyweights at the minute, we've got this little division going on of, sort of winner stays on. If you box there and you impress and you get back there, and obviously we all know the financial benefits. Not just that, it's the coverage that we get worldwide. You're not just seen by the British fans, you're seen by fans from America and all over the world. So this is massive for me, and every fighter that goes over there and takes an opportunity.
Whatever way you cut it, also this extension of the Riyadh season doesn't just land itself in Saudi. The card in September the 21st. They're talking about fighting in and wanting to open up the Chinese marketplace. They've done a Los Angeles. So if you are Frazer Clarke and Fabio Wardley, you're looking at the scenario of going, well, we know that Joshua's fighting in September. We know that Fury's fighting in December. The rumour is that if both of those two fighters were to win, in terms of Fury was to beat Usyk and Joshua were to beat Daniel Dubois, there's a distinct possibility that you're going to get an undisputed between two British fighters. I think the Saudis have indicated that will be at Wembley. If you're Frazer Clarke, you want to be on that train. You want to be one of the fights on the undercard that would be at Wembley. It doesn't mean that all the fights are going to be in the Middle East just because it's Middle Eastern money.
For sure. Frazer, how are your preparations going for Wardley?
Yeah, it's been obviously I sort of knew the news a few weeks ago, so we're just doing the right things. We're in the gym. I've got a great team here at Loughborough University. We're putting everything in, and like I say, just like last time, I'll put everything into training and leave it all in the ring, as I'm sure Fabio will, and hopefully we can deliver for the fans again.
I mean, you were knocked down in the 5th. You recovered emphatically, and you battered him, did you not? You opened up quite a sizable gash in his nose, and at the end of it, it was an epic draw. I mean, what can we expect other than more of the same?
Well, I think you know what both me and Fabio are about. We're competitors, and I don't think there needs to be, like, in this rematch, there's not going to be a lot of trash talk and a lot of the silly stuff that you see between boxers nowadays. It's just two lads that genuinely want to win a fight, want to call themselves better than the other one. And I'm sure we're both going about our business in the gym and working hard just to make sure that, I want to come out on top, and I want to do it emphatically, Jim. So I'm leaving it all in this gym and then taking everything to Saudi Arabia with me to do that.
Before that, of course, we're going to see AJ in against Dubois, as Simon said, on September the 21st, here in London at Wembley. What do you think? What chance Dubois?
He's always got, I've heard a lot of people writing him off and giving it just to AJ. He's always got a puncher's chance because he's 100% one of the biggest punchers in the division. Saying that, I think Anthony Joshua's experience and the fact that, these big cards just seem to be second nature to him now, I think that gives him a massive advantage. And with the form and the, the way he's looking at the minute, I have to have Joshua as a big favourite. But I wouldn't write Daniel off because the power in both his hands is devastating. It can end a fight in 1 second.
Okay, Frazer, we wish you well. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Frazer Clarke up against Fabio Wardley. It's almost inevitable, Simon, that fighters like Frazer, like Wardley, are going to end up fighting in Saudi at some stage.
Yeah, I have my reservations about certain aspects of the pursuit of ownership of sport for other reasons. But right now, what it's doing is facilitating solutions that have been long avoided, which is all the best fighters are fighting. I mean it, what I said about my original observation. I don't understand why Chris Eubank is higher up in the billing than Fabio Wardley, Wardley and Frazer Clarke. I mean, anyway, that's a different discussion. Look, the bottom line is that Frazer and Fabio put on a wonderful fight, a brutal fight. It's a draw that everyone can live with.
Was that fair? I didn't see the fight. I heard how wonderful it was.
I thought Fabio nicked it.
Right.
But it was nip and tuck, and everyone can live with an honourable draw.
Yeah.
And now it's gone up a level in terms of scale of recognisability. It'll be another brutal battle. But I just think, with due respect to both fighters, who, by the way, are both very decent fellas. If you talk to Fabio, you'll come away with the same impression that you think of Frazer. Come off that call with Frazer.
He's been in here,
what a
hasn't
nice
he?
lad.
Yeah.
What a decent fella. I want him to do well. You talk to Fabio, you'll have the same feelings when you come away.
Yeah.
I just think that Frazer gets to take more out of this fight because Frazer was in trouble in that fight and he had to dig deep.
Yeah.
And he did dig deep.
Listen, you know the fight game. Who wins the other one? Beterbiev, Bivol?
I think Beterbiev.
That's some fight.
I do. I mean, if he hasn't diminished over the period of time, I think Beterbiev. But Bivol is some fighter.
Yeah. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.